I'm here with Bruce Pannier, a longtime journalist and senior correspondent covering Central Asia for Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. One of the things that I'm most worried about as a possible future journalist is the quick pace and sort of stress in the field. Does it have to be like this? And is it manageable, or how do you personally cope with it?
I think you can get into it pretty easily no matter what. So, it can get hectic. But that said, it's always not so difficult to adapt to the pace. There's a lot of times I thought I had so much to do, I might not ever finish, but I always did, and that's a good feeling too, that when it's over and
But it's like a medium-sized story. How long does that usually take you?
It takes a little while to look up more just to the details. And then you had to do a lot of research because obviously I didn't know. Same like anything else. After a while, you've been working at this and you're familiar with the terms, and it becomes very, very easy to do it. To the point where I liked covering that better than most other topics, even though I hated it when I started. It takes a little patience and a little while to make sure you get everything right. But if you do it again a couple times, then it becomes much easier and real satisfying too. You know that there's a small group of people who know about this stuff, and you're one of those small group of people.
What would you recommend to a future journalist to study or to get experience?
I suppose if you're going to be a journalist, ideally you want to get a job anyway. You'd want to be able to say you could cover as many different topics as possible. You can always specialize in something later if there's something you really like or something that your employer says, wow, you did a really good job with this. But certainly at the start, it's really important to get stuff out there. It looks good on your CV, your name is already out there, and you'll get feedback from people at the start too. I was used to writing academic articles. So when I started working at the news desk, they had to train me all the time and say, it can't be this long, and it had to be translated. You had to adjust your language. If I used a lot of fancy words like I used at Columbia University, they'd be at the dictionary constantly. So I had to simplify, make sure that it was very, very clear so that no one could interpret it the wrong way. So it is good that people at the start say you can't, don't do it like this, and help you out a little bit. So it's really the experience. I mean, it's frustrating sometimes because I wrote stuff that I thought was just perfect. And then they'd say, no, you can't say it like this. We can't use it like this, And I'm like, but that's my best part.
And do you think the profession of a journalist is valued enough, both respect-wise and salary-wise?
Most journalists would say no to both. It's obviously really important because people need to know the truth. We're living in an age where there's so many different ways of putting out information, and so much of it is either bad information or just outright fake. In that regard, I think true journalism is probably more important than it ever has been before, because people need to know a lot of times what is really going on. Do you get enough money for doing that? This is tough. I think almost everyone that does journalism does it because it's just something they like to do. Eventually, chances are you'll get to write about stuff that you really like to write about, and you'll be known for writing about that. So people will seek you out. You get to see a lot of things and meet a lot of people. All the people that I ran into at the radio, heads of state, ambassadors, people like that I just never would have met. It's good to be informed too. If something's going on that you probably know better than them, what's happening out there.
Do you have any particular piece of advice for an upcoming young journalist?
Write as much as possible. The more you write, the better. Don't turn down anything, even if it sounds horrible. I wrote about a lot of stuff that didn't sound good when they pitched it to me. They said, we need a paper on this. And I was like, why are you looking at me? I don't want to do this. The experience is what's important, especially at the start, and if you have to write a couple thousand words a day, have some consolation. 10, 15, 20 years down the road, you won't be writing that many words a day, and you will be working on longer articles. It's satisfying, and at the same time, like I said, it gives you a certain expertise and knowledge that other people don't have.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. I'm glad to help.